Let me bang.
I do let you bang. Hey,
let me bang you, James, man.
I let you bang. I let you bang.
Greetings, marriage and virgins.
Go for Jesus. No forget Jesus, people.
Hey, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time once again for your favorite mixed martial arts podcast. Recording out of Los Angeles, California, it's MMA Roasted with Adam Hunter.
Who the fuck is that guy?
What's up, people? It's me, Adam Hunter. We got a brand new MMA Roasted Podcast. It's going to be a great show. The gang is back. Hope you guys are having a good new year. I'm in Florida. I am in Florida at Captain Brian's. Did you go here with Jamie Kennedy back in the day and like get naked and go into like, you guys all go skinny dipping or something?
You know, you make my life sound so much more interesting than it is. No, but I did I think I did tell you this. I did a show there with Zhao Ying recently, you know, and she was like, we're going to split. I'm not going to do her accent because that's going to come up very racist, but it's hard not to. Anyway, she said, we're going to split the money for the headlining.
Right. Of
We're going to co-headline. And then she got a charity. She had a group meetup kind of charity event. And so she didn't pay me. She goes, I gave the money all to charity. I'm like, what the fuck do I have to do with that? That's not my fault, stupid. So that was my last experience at Captain Brian's.
I
want to go though. I hear it's amazing.
It is great. And they made it so much better because they took out the bar and now it's just like, and it's an average of 150 to 200 people a night. It's just a great crowd. Naples, it's diverse, but it's like they're just not offended. It's been going on long enough where like people know they're going to see a show. That's the thing about the internet that's kind of made one of the good things about the internet and comedy is there's no excuse of like, I didn't know I was going to hear these jokes, or I didn't know I was going to hear this kind of humor. Like you got to think like back in the day when people came to comedy shows, they could literally be like, what the fuck was that? I never heard of this comic and I don't know what I'm looking at or I'm listening to. But now it's like, really? Like you could Google, like you could find it on YouTube. But that's good. That's actually a good thing. That's one of the benefits.
Do you think they're mostly your fans that come down there, or are they just comedy fans coming to shows at that place?
I mean, Gutfeld's been great to me. I mean, it's been putting an extra, I mean, that's been even better than Last Comic Standing. Like the Gutfeld, as far as like, immediate people coming. So that's been good because, like, I mean, Gutfeld even said there's all these talk shows. They're all left leaning or extreme left. You got Jimmy Kimmel, you got Colbert, Fallon, I guess would be the most neutral, but then you got Seth Meyers. And they're all like, it was just Trump, and very left-leaning jokes. And maybe you'll get a Joe Biden, his old joke here and there, but it's not like but Gutfeld's the only comedy show political where they're doing jokes, for like the right or even like central. So it's like those guys are all dividing their. I mean, it's just kind of funny that like they were beating. Like these network, like Gutfeld was beating them in like the ratings and beating them pretty good, that's crazy. Which is nuts because you think about all the money they must spend on, like when I did Leno. I mean, it was just they were spending so much money on having a band and like 10 writers or 15 writers and these produced sketches and the produced sets and Gutfeld is like, okay, we got topics, we got some writers and we got and we got 4 people and we're just gonna be fun. It was just, but it just shows you though also why. I mean, me as a comic, and people are like, people are calling me to the right. They're like, you're a right-wing comic. No, I'm a centrist comic. And people are like, well, why don't you go? Well, because CNN doesn't have comics on. There's no comedy show on CNN. If there was, I'd go on it. I'll go on any show that has comics. I'm a fucking comic.
Of course.
But I noticed that Gutfeld has a lot of people that are coming to shows, which is pretty cool. But I have a crazy story.
That's very cool.
That I can't wait to tell right now. But I'm waiting for McCorkle to show up because I don't want to tell it again. Because what happens is I tell you the good version, and then McCorkle comes on, and then he gets the watered
down version.
Yeah, and he just gets like, and it's never the same. But you know what we can't talk about, I guess, because I actually wrote down things, are the Golden Globes and Joe Coy, because I have some thoughts on this. Now, I've worked with Joe Coy for.
First of all, I saw it live, and this is what people don't remember. Everyone bombs at the Golden Globes. Ricky Gervais bombs at the Golden Globes. No one's out there just fucking getting applause breaks. Everyone. Ricky Gervais' legendary last Golden Globes, which everyone refers to, was mostly grimaces and people like rolling their eyes. But it's brilliant. So I don't think that Joe Coy's performance was bad at all. I thought it was like very down the middle of what you get there.
Well, here's what I look. I've known Joe Coy for like 20 years, and you know he's always been nice to me. He's always been cool to me. You know, I can't say anything bad about him. He's been a murderer. I mean, he's a fucking murderer. But the thing about Joe Coy is, I knew it was a bad fit as soon as they announced. As soon as he announced,
felt like a bad fit. It did, yeah.
Because he's a storyteller, and and he acts out. He acts everything out, and it's super funny, and it's super big. It's kind of like, you know, Dane Cook would be in that, or even Sebastian. So, and they do a lot of different characters, and
you're right,
and voices, and just, you know, impressions of their family members, and it's all these. He creates a whole fucking scene, and it's brilliant, but it's funny, but it's not a monologuist comic. Like, it's not like how you'd see a late. So I'm like, wait a minute, this is not going to be good. I knew right away this is a bad fit, but then I'm like, you know what they're probably going to do? If they're smart, they'll they'll fit his comedy into this setting. So they'll do like, he'll say like, oh, I remember when I was watching the Golden Globes with my mom, and then he does his mom, and then he does his dad, and his uncle, and they'll appreciate that. And he'll do like 3 little stories, and then he'll start the show. But that's not what happened. What happened was they tried to put him into a setup punchline zinger type comic with like a Ricky Gervais type roasting atmosphere. And then he comes across as like very likable, because that's how he is, of like, hey, like me. And then when they weren't laughing, he turned on them. But it was such a drastic.
That was a pretty, and I've seen, you know, we all do that at comedy clubs. Obviously, we comment on like people not laughing at jokes. But I felt the way he turned on one was the way it was like, you're not really entitled to turn on that crowd that way. Do you know what I mean?
On him, but then he also threw his writers under the bus, which...
Oh, that was bad. That was not good. He shouldn't have done that.
But I could see me doing that too. I hate to say it. I could see myself, especially if you're fighting over a joke, and they're like, no, trust me, this is funny. This is going to kill. And then it bombs, and you're like, I didn't write that. I could see myself making the exact same stupid mistake, and it wasn't.
Of course. But you could do it in a way that sounded self-deprecating, in a way where you're 100% not brutally throwing them under the bus.
And then all of a sudden he started going, white people stole everything. And he started doing like a Chris Rock impression of like, white people stole everything. And you're like, and then he's doing it to Martin Scorsese's face. And it just became like, it was fucking insane. But I thought it was still entertaining. I was entertained by it, but people went after him, and comics went after him. I'm like, come on, guys.
Yeah, I know, that's fucking shitty. That's just jealousy, obviously. It's like the same with Matt Rife. That's mostly just jealousy.
Because you're like, dude, come on. But then that was like also, so that was fucking crazy. And then comics went after him. And then he made a Taylor Swift joke, which was not a good joke. There's a million Taylor
Swift. What was the Taylor Swift joke again? I forgot.
He said, what's the difference between the Golden Globes and the NFL? Like, oh, we don't keep putting on Taylor Swift on TV at the Golden Globes. Basically saying, but it was too much thinking involved in that joke, because it was like a joke about the NFL and about camera time. And so it was like, and then he laughed halfway through it, and he's like, we don't, and then said Taylor Swift, and then he goes, sorry. So it was like, and then she looks all fucking mad, like, and then but now you look at his account, it's like 90 million Taylor Swift fans just fuck you, calling him a
oh really?
Oh, don't you dare talk to the queen that way. And then Selena Gomez chimes in, and she's like, this was so awkward and uncomfortable. And so like, but what, Taylor Swift's off limits? Like what? Like in comedy? Crazy. But there was a million jokes he could have made. But the thing is, if you're going to make a fucking joke and she's there, at least be like, there was like Travis Kelce jokes of like, hey, I would never date you because I want to win, or something that like, if you're gonna go for it, go for it. He didn't bomb funny too. That's the thing. It's like Gervais, when he bombs funny, and Joe Coy probably hasn't bombed in like 10 years. So he doesn't know how to bomb funny. Like, he doesn't do those shitty rooms anymore that I do or that you do.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going down, you're taking everyone with you, He also didn't address
That's
that,
so
like,
true.
like you guys might not know who I am, because he's doing what, 10,000, 5,000 cc theaters, 10, whatever he's doing. He's the man in Filipinos.
That's
he's a god.
Yes, that's a small world compared to like the Golden Globes.
He doesn't know that. He doesn't know that. He thinks they all know who he is. And I guarantee when he's writing this and when he's going off, I looked at like who the writers were. I didn't recognize any comedians. And that's not saying,
really?
That's not saying they're not funny, but it looked like they were like professional writers, but not really comedy writers. So I don't know. Look, I have no idea. That's what I'm speaking. They could write amazing jokes, and maybe they are late night talk show writers. I have no idea.
Now, Adam, as someone, because you've done these kind of award shows and stuff before, right? You like with the porn MMA. Shit and MMA. So you have writers that chip in, but at the end of the day, aren't you the one who decides what you say?
Yeah, 100%. And he had the right of first refusal on every single joke. So for him to be like,
so then the fact that he's throwing writers to the bus, I felt like that was like, look, I've known Joey Coy for a long time too. I used to feature for him as well, and he's an amazing comic. But there's a certain integrity problem that Joe Coy has. I will say it on the fucking record, man. He has a little bit of an integrity problem, man. I just know enough people who've been fucked over by the dude. So I feel like that's kind of like, I love the dude, but I'm like, dude, that's showing your ass, dude. That's showing your ass that you're going to say that. Not just once, like 3 times. Yeah. He talked about how the writers wrote shitty jokes. And then you're going to go do that color purple. Ozempic makes your butthole the color purple. And then stand over a mirror and go, that's not true. It's magenta. And do it in this really kind of sagging kind of, I was just like, bro, man, you like really like.
Well, he also didn't watch the movies, because he was like, that's the thing. He pissed off women where he was like, Barbie's about boobies, right? And the thing is like, dude, he said it in like a really like, oh, it'll be funny if I say it this way. And the joke itself was like not a good joke. And if you're going to insult women and insult like feminists and blah, blah, to their face in that context, it's got to be a fucking banger. Like you got to bring the heat where it's like, even women are like I do a joke about like, you never see a female school shooters because, women don't want to end your life. They want to ruin it. Right. So
great job.
And women are like, that's true. You know what I'm saying? Like, so like, but even women are like, okay, I don't even know if I like that joke, but that's true. Where a joke like that, where they go, oh, that's fucked up, but it's true. But like Barbie being about boobies, when like it's just,
I didn't even understand it because Barbie had nothing to do with boobies. It literally was like the opposite of boobies.
I didn't see Barbie. I have no idea what he's even referring to. I mean, I know what he's trying to say, but I'm like, you got to come with a better joke than that. And I don't know if it was the kind of situation where they were like, okay, we can't say this, we can't say this, we can't say this, we can't say this, in which case you're fucked, But I don't know. It was weird. The whole thing was weird. The jokes themselves weren't great. A couple of them were good, though. Like, that's the problem, though. Like, for my example, is the whole De Niro thing, where he's De Niro. What a performance. How'd you get a girl pregnant at 80, right?
Oh, great. That was a great joke.
Great joke. But the problem was he's not used to doing jokes like that. So he goes, how you probably 80? And then he goes right to the next one. Like, if he would have held and then held again and then applause, that would have been move on. But he's so used to doing jokes his way, which work for him, but he's not used to, like, there's a lot of guys they could have gotten. People are like, well, everyone said no. Okay, fuck, that's bullshit. There's no way everyone said no to $500,000 or whatever he got. But Ray Romano was there. Why not just give him the fucking job? Or Drew Carey, or there's a million guys Martin Short and Steve Martin were there. You could have had them together doing something. I mean, there was a lot of guys that they probably could have got. And as far as new comics, Dion Cole or give somebody like Tony Rock a fucking, or somebody that's, a comic that's been busting their thing. They said, I go, who said no? And someone in the know said, well, Amy Schumer turned it down, which is like, and I could see why she turned it down, because she's getting so much shit right now for her pro-Israel stance, which I agree with her stance, but like if she bombs, like people are rooting for her to fucking like, so that probably was a good move for her to turn it down. But I'm like,
well, if she is pro-Israel, it kind of makes sense that she would bomb.
Perfect. But there was so many, I mean, like if he would have been like, hey, guys, look, we got to stop the terrorism. That's right. Jada Pinkett Smith. I mean, there was a lot of jokes that like,
well, here's my question, Adam. And this again, like I feel bad because I feel like I just totally fucking shit on Joe. But at the same time, like Joe has known you for 20 years. He knows the type of writer you are. He knows that you're. Why wouldn't Joe reach out to you for these jokes?
I mean,
like,
if I was
is he just like, I'm so good, it doesn't matter?
If I was going to you, I would go to you, J. Chris Newberg. I mean, there's a lot of guys that I would go to, like Jeff Ross. I mean, there's guys that I don't know Jeff Ross that well, but there are guys like that caliber that would love to check. And even some like younger,
not even the check, but just to be a part, like, hey, help out a buddy,
I think he's surrounded by yes men.
Yes.
And he's a straight savage. He's a straight killer. But I think a lot of it is.
So he thinks he can do it without help, really, kind of.
Now that it's summer, you might be looking for wholesome, convenient meals for sunny, active days. I know I am. Okay. And Factor, which is America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit. Not number 2, #1. It can help you fuel up fast with flavorful and nutritious ready-to-eat meals delivered right to your door. You'll save time. You'll eat well, and you'll stay on track reaching your goals, okay? Are you too busy with summer plans to cook? I am. It takes me forever to cook, and I ruin the meals. But I want to make sure that I'm eating well, and so should you. Well, with Factor, skip the trip to the grocery store and skip the chopping and the prepping and the cleaning, okay? While still getting the flavor and the nutritional quality you need. The Factor is fresh, never frozen. Ew. Their meals are ready in just 2 minutes. That's right, 2 minutes. Although when I do stuff in 2 minutes, my wife complains, okay? But not with Factor. All you got to do is heat and enjoy, and then get back outside and soak up this warm weather. Vitamin D, all right? Looking for calorie-conscious options this summer? You can try the delicious, dietitian-approved, calorie-smart meals with around or less than 550 calories per serving. That's nothing. You burn that off, I don't know, jogging, all right? You need an extra boost to support your wellness goals this summer? I do. We'll try the Protein Plus meals with 30 grams of protein. Hell yeah. Get rough. Look at these guns, people. All right? So check it out. Check out Factor. Head to factormeals.com/roasted50 and use code roasted50 and get 50% off your first box. That's half off your first box. That's code roasted50 at factormeals.com/roasted50 to get 50% off your first box. All right. Check it out. You're going to thank me later. I got this cute dog. She's teething right now. But she's adorable. All right. No more biting. You got to get some chew toys. So thank you guys so much. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day, and check out Factor right now. But I also think
which
that
makes sense.
But whoever signed, whoever picked him for the host though, had to have realized, like, look, this guy's a storyteller, and he should have got the writers together and be like, hey, listen, this is not going to be a conventional stand-up punchline type monologue. This is not Jimmy Kimmel. This guy is great at act outs. Let's create a story where we put all the fucking TV shows that are up for movies for best actor, put them together in a little monologue.
Yeah.
And be like, oh, my mom did this, or my mom, and we'll use what he can do in a cute way where everyone laughs and be like, that was brilliant. But instead,
we're talking about Brent Schwab, by the way.
But instead they were like, let's try to force this monologue on 10 days notice on a guy who doesn't tell jokes. I mean, he tells jokes, but in a way that is not conventional joke telling.
Do you buy the 10 days too? Do you really buy 10 days? I think maybe we're talking about 10 business days.
Because he must have known he was up for it too. And 10 days is a long fucking time, not to mention. And also, where was he running the set. Like when I saw Chris Rock back in the day preparing for the MTV. We're talking about Joe Coy, Sean, by the way, hosting the Golden Globe Awards.
Oh, I really thought we were talking about Brendan Schaub. I was so lost. I was like, why have I not heard about whatever this is? What did Joe Coy do?
So he hosted the Golden Globe Awards, and it went really bad. People were posting things like the writers are now back on strike. And that's
pretty funny.
That was on the cover of like Vulture, Fox News, worst award show. I mean, every Variety, Golden Globe host bombs. It was an epic bomb, right? And then during the monologue, not only did he pissed off Taylor Swift with like a stupid joke, not even a joke about her. But he made a joke about what's the difference between the Golden Globes and the NFL. The camera doesn't always pan to Taylor Swift during the Golden Globes. But he like laughed during it and she got mad. She like visibly just took a drink and stared at him. And so that was bad. And then he's like, Martin Scorsese, white people, you steal everything. So he starts telling him and Scorsese looked like he was confused. It was just like, like you would have loved it, Sean, actually.
To me so far. I don't know. I'm going to have to rewatch it.
But
you gotta watch it. It's pretty great. I mean, like he's a brilliant comic. There's some jokes that I thought the worst joke was the blue butthole. Color purple. What's the color purple? It's what Ozempic turns your butthole.
That wasn't bad. I didn't mind that one.
But then the act out where he's like standing over a mirror and he goes, "That's not true. It's magenta." And he did it in like such a mousy way that he lost confidence in the joke.
Well, he came across like kissing everyone's ass in the beginning, like, "Oh, I'm so happy to be here. Oh my God," and blah blah. Like he looked like he was like, like hosting, like he was a big kiss ass in Hollywood. And then when
a dream come true, and
right away he went to, "My mom is Filipino and she used to say," and he did the Filipino accent. So you're like, okay, this is where he's gonna go with it. And then he started bombing. And then he's like, "Whatever. I did this on 10 days notice. Oh, you guys, you think you could do better?" And then he goes, "The writers, I didn't write that joke. All the ones you're laughing at, those are the jokes that I wrote." Right. So then it's like really.
So he melted down live on TV?
Yeah. Yes.
I can't believe I didn't hear about any of this. I haven't heard.
Well, he didn't melt down. He was. If he did it at a comedy show, it would be kind of funny. People would get it because we have all done that. Like,
yeah, of course.
Adam, you're like, "Oh, this half of the room loves it. This half of the room, whatever."
Yeah.
At the Golden Globes is not the forum for that. I don't think.
No, but what I was telling him, it's like when they had Dane Cook host the MTV Awards. Like I knew that was a bad fit. Dane Cook is hilarious, but Dane Cook is bigger than life. So when he's on stage at a comedy club, he's huge, but he's also a master of sound effects, act outs, callbacks, voices, impressions, impersonations. So all of that goes into the bit. But so wasn't good when it was like, even hosting Saturday Night Live, it wasn't like, and then same thing with Sebastian. Remember when Sebastian hosted the MTV Awards? Same thing. Sebastian's like really big, but that was not the style of the writing monologue for him. So he just like, yeah. And then he started laughing through some of the jokes. It was really, but I'm saying, but back to Chris Rock. I used to watch Chris Rock for 2 weeks, do 3 sets a night at a comedy club, preparing his MTV award thing. And then even the Oscars. And one time he bombed at the Oscars, but he killed at the comedy club, where I didn't hear anyone talk about Joe Coy showing up at a comedy club and running his set. So I don't, that's why I think the timing was off. But yeah.
It'd be weird to be at a comedy club and making Golden Globe jokes award like jokes though. Like,
but people do it all the time though. They go, "Hey guys," like in the middle of set, "I want to run some jokes. I'm going to do it the fucking blah blah blah."
Yeah,
you do that, Adam, right? You do that in your shows sometimes. You go here with MMA
people do it for roasting and stuff, and what Whitney Cummings used to do it for the roast and all this.
It'd be a little weird if you're at the Ice House and you're like, "Hey, Taylor Swift is here tonight," and then everybody's like, "Wait, what?" Looking around, like trying to figure it out.
Dude, so I posted a picture of me and Joe Coy and 2 other comics, and I wrote afterwards like, "Going to the Taylor Swift concert tonight," and I put like, and people were like, "Really? You're an asshole." People believe like she's not even on tour. Like
Wait, why would they think you're an asshole for going to Taylor Swift? She fucking rocks.
Dude, I had guys say I'm unfollowing you for going to the concert, number one.
Why?
And then I had high school teachers be like, that's so cool. And I'm like, you taught me? Like, this was...
The best is my girlfriend told me, you know, Adam Hunter went to the Taylor Swift concert. And with some guys, like, or whatever, I was like, did he? And she's like, yeah, I guess he went with a couple of guys or whatever. I was like, that's awesome. Okay. And then I found out it was a joke.
No, I did it as a joke because right now, Joe Coy's whole Instagram is 95,000 Taylor Swifts. Like, I have friends that said, I have a friend who's gay, who's a comic, who both of us know, Bill, that said, good job, Joe Coy. And he got murdered by Swifties. Like, people were like, there were like 10,000 people like, fuck you. This is why both of you. And it just went off on him. I'm like,
oh my God.
The surprising part about that story is that you became friends with Brendan Schaub.
Yeah, right.
Did you say he was gay? I don't know. All right.
Yeah, no,
the best part about that story is your gay friend who defended Joe Coy obviously removed the comment because he's a kiss ass.
It's been up there for a day. I think
really. I'd be really surprised if he kept it up there. If he's the same gay friend that I think he is.
Yes, I'm pretty sure that he thinks that Joe Coy's going to take him on the road with him and yada yada. So I think he's doing it. So meanwhile, so this trip to Florida, okay. But before we get into the MMA, so I go to Florida to do two shows, Miami and then Naples. Of course, I get a middle seat, right? And the lady next to me falls and she's snoring the whole time, fucking snoring like. So I put on the movie with Jake Gyllenhaal. It was actually a pretty funny movie with Jake Gyllenhaal and like Steve Carell, where he gets divorced and he's trying to forgot them. It was pretty funny, right? And I'm laughing, and the lady goes, "Stop laughing!" Like she woke up to yell at me. And I didn't want to be like, well, you're snoring, you know, because I'm like, I'm not going to fight. So, all right. So then I get to the club. It's a 2-hour wait at the car rental. I get an electric car by accident. And they were like, oh, just so you know, you're going to have to fill this up at like a Walmart in a parking lot. You have to charge it. Like when you rent an electric car. It's
the worst, man. I don't like the electric cars are the worst, dude, because you have to go shopping all the time. Every time you charge, you have to go. I guess we have to shop for an hour.
But yeah, I'm like, I don't have an hour to go fill up. I don't even have, I'm gonna have to YouTube. How do I put gas in an electric car? You know, I don't even know. So then, right. So then, of course, the first show, they canceled. The theater closed down like 3 months ago. So they're like, oh, come in early and you could do a guest spot on Friday night. You'll do guest spots, promote your show. Right. So I get there and everyone half the crowd's in like wheelchairs. Right. So I'm like, this is kind of weird. They're like, oh, it's a guy from America's Got Talent who's disabled, who talks through his phone, right? Like the guy. So I go back to meet him, right? And I'm like, hey, nice to meet you. And he's like, so he goes like this, and he goes, I hear it, nice to meet you too. Like he's talking through his. And then
so the phone even has a robot. They don't even give the phone a personality voice. They don't make the phone like Snoop Dogg.
No,
my phone can do Snoop Dogg's voice, Joe Rogan's voice, anybody's voice. They still gave him a robot voice. That doesn't make sense.
I'm like, if this guy's phone dies, he has no act. Like he has no. Like if I was a rival comedian, I would just uncharge his phone. Like I would hide his charger, you know. Because then, like if you're a feature for him, you could do the. Then
he's like, before I do my act, I'm gonna have to stop by a Walmart. I don't know.
So then
to charge his phone, right? I don't know. Okay, anyway.
So the guy's whole face is bruised up, right? So I go, what happened to your face? And he goes, hold on. And he goes, I got jumped by 2 black guys in Texas, right? So I'm like, first of all, I'm like, what kind of an asshole would beat up a guy who's mute and in a wheelchair? Who can't?
Why did he have to say the race of the guys who beat him up too?
Right, that was unnecessary.
So I asked the feature. I go, what happened? He goes, oh, he accidentally rolled over their feet or something. And then they didn't know.
Oh, they had Jordans.
So they didn't know that he couldn't speak. So they probably thought he was being a wise ass or something.
But they had no problem with him being in a wheelchair. That's interesting.
Yeah, no, I mean that too. It was like, I'm like, I got really mad on behalf of this guy. I'm like, what a bunch of fucking assholes for doing that. Like, how do you beat up a guy? Right. So then they're like, hey, you got to be really clean to me when I go on. Right. So I go on and like half the crowd's in wheelchairs. You have like a lot of people are disabled and they're really nice people. But then some guy with a Vietnam hat, like a veteran, starts heckling. I'm like, great. So now he's like, or like Like I'm doing the cleanest shit I know. And then I get off stage and the guy goes, they sound like a clean crowd. I'm really dirty, right? So he tells me how like I didn't even have to be clean, right? So then
wait, he told you to be clean and he's a dirty comic?
No, the owner did. The owner of the club told me to be clean. But he goes, tell them that your regular show is dirty because I don't want people in wheelchairs coming to your show tomorrow night and rolling out piss because you were coming on their face or talk about coming on faces and stuff.
What?
Right?
You've gotten really dirty, apparently. With
no, I'm not coming on. I'm doing jokes about coming on faces.
He's coming on the backs, okay?
He's like Gallagher, but just really, really obscene.
Be careful the front row. You're in the splash zone.
Yeah.
Then I go next door. There's a second room, right? And there's like 18 people in the crowd, and Angel Salazar is the host, right? He's headlining. Angel Salazar is the guy who played Chi-Chi in Scarface, right? And and the last time I saw Angel Salazar, first time I met him was 25 years ago. I did my first headlining gig, and it was all Cubans that came to the show, and they would throw cocaine at him, like bags of cocaine, while he was on stage because they knew him from Scarface, right? And he murdered, right? But he had like a black eye from passing out the night before, doing too much coke.
My God.
And then he asked me for a ride home to the Bronx. So I had to give him a ride home, and we must have stopped at 25 places for him to buy drugs. Like, so I'm just in a car. He leaves me in a car, comes back 30 minutes later. I think I'm going to get robbed. I'm like, what kind of right? So then I heard about him. I did Rochester like about 10 years ago. And the guy's like, oh, we had Angel Salazar. I go, how'd it go? He goes, well, the first show he killed. They got a standing ovation. They told us, don't let him leave the club. Don't let him leave the club. Of course, he leaves. He comes back like a half hour late. He's got cocaine all over him, right? And then they're like, hey, Angel, you got a show. He goes, what show, right? So he goes on stage and his nose is bleeding. And he sees a girl, big titties in the crowd, right in the front. And he wipes and cleans his nose with her tits, right? So now she has blood all over her chest, right? So her boyfriend attacks him and the whole crowd gets up and fucking runs out leaving, right? So I asked him about that. I go, what happened in Rochester? He goes, oh, man. He goes, I got 2 standing ovations that night.
I thought he was going to say he accidentally rolled over some black guy's shoes, and that's how he got a bloody nose.
So now we're doing a show in Florida. There's like 17 Jewish people in the crowd, like 80 years old. They don't know who he is, right? And like I do all right. What's her name's the host? Sheba Mason, who's Jackie Mason's daughter, who Jackie Mason wouldn't claim her, like because I guess it was like Jackie Mason cheated on his wife with a mistress, and they had Sheba, and then Sheba, she looks a lot like Jackie Mason, right? But she's attractive. Like think of like an attractive Jackie Mason, and I guess she like found him in like New York City, and then was like, "You're my dad." And then his ex-wife wrote a one-woman show called "Jackie Mason Had My Kid and Won't Talk to Me" or something. So she's hosting, right? And she goes, and at the end of her set, she's like, "Oh, my dad's Jackie Mason," and everyone knows who that is because it's in Boca Raton, right? So they're like, "Oh." So then I go on. I'm like, "Yeah, my dad's Ed Sullivan," right? So I kept changing it to Mort Saul or Soupy Sal.
Red Skelton,
Flappy White,
Penny Youngman.
So Angel goes on, and people don't, and he has a very thick Cuban accent. And Angel looked like he's been through it. And he goes up there and he's like, oh, and everyone's like, what? And he's like, anyone got cocaine? And they're like, what do you want? What did he say? Like, dude, he's on the stage and I'm dying laughing. He gets a phone call while he's on stage, right? And he takes the call. And all you hear is like salsa music. And they're like, Angel, where are you? You're supposed to be in Long Island right now. Like they're asking him where he is during the show. Like, and then he looks at the crowd, who's all old people. He's like, I'm at a funeral. So
I love it.
So the next night, I do my show and Angel has no place to stay, right? So like, I guess they didn't get him a hotel or so I'm like, Angel, you can crash at my place, right? I got a hotel, I got 2 bedrooms. So I let him stay at my place, which I think is a good idea. On the way back, we go buy alcohol for him. And he's coughing and snoring the whole fucking night.
Oh God.
Like, and I'm like, oh my fucking, I can't, why? I have Ambien. I took like 3. I'm like,
How was the sex though?
it was amazing.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
So what happened? So he just snored the whole night and you couldn't sleep?
The whole fucking night. I left him in the hotel the next day because I got up at 6 a.m. and I drove to Boca. I drove to Naples, and I'm like, I'm leaving him here. And then I go, and then the other feature who's featuring for me is this guy Brian, I'm like, hey Brian Swinehart, my friend. I go, hey man, you got a hotel, right? He's like, no. So now he's staying with me. So now I'm sharing a room with him for 4 fucking days.
I'm sure your wife is happy about it though, so she knows like.
Dude, this like beautiful girl like asked me, she's like, hey, I opened up a massage parlor and I want to give you a massage for free. Do you mind? Tomorrow, will you come by? This girl's like a 10. And I'm like, I call my wife. I'm like, hey, I know it's legit, but I just have to post. I just post that I'm at this massage parlor. She's like, I'd appreciate if you wouldn't. I don't think my friends, they already, and I'm like, okay, no problem. So yeah, no massage for me. Yeah.
I told you about my massage in Florida that time, right, Adam?
No, what happened?
I go, long story, but I'll try to be short. I'm there for a fight, and I always got a massage the day before a fight, even if I was cutting weight, which is a terrible idea, as it turns out, because you're all dehydrated. But I meet this Australian girl at this smoothie shop, and I said, hey, I got a weird question from you guys. I'm not from around here. Is there like a sports massage place, not like an Asian jerk-off place like around here that actually does like deep tissue massage, and I'm fighting, blah, blah, blah. And she goes, I'm actually a massage therapist, but in an Australian accent. And I'm like, are you really? And she's like, yeah, that's what I do part-time until this, until it picks up. I've been doing this half the time. And I'm like, all right. So she agrees to do it or whatever. She's a little strange, but I'm like, whatever, So she comes to the condo, and halfway during it, she obviously doesn't know what she's doing. Like it's very obvious. I told her like a lot of pressure. Like I don't care. Like if you hurt me, it's okay. Like a lot. But she doesn't know what she's doing. And then she says, as I'm falling half asleep because she's giving like a soft massage, she's like, yeah, I would do your butt, but you'd probably like it, wouldn't you faggot? Like says it to me out of nowhere in an Australian accent. And I said, it woke me up. I said, wait, what? And she said, do you want me to do your butt? And I was like, no, I'm good. And I said, what did you really say? She goes, that's what I said. And I said, oh, I thought you called me a faggot. And she's like, no. She goes, are you crazy? I said, okay, sorry. I thought I heard that. I don't know. I thought I was half asleep.
Yeah.
So we're sitting there, and she's like talking. She says something else, and under her breath, she says something like, yeah, it's because you're queer, or says something like that. And I was like, what the hell? Like, what? And it was like the strangest thing. And she just kept saying like real anti-gay stuff to me the whole time. So she ends up leaving, and she says it's $35. So I said, no, that's an hour. That's not a normal rate. I gave her $100. I was like, you came all the way to the condo or whatever. So she leaves. 6 months later, I'm in the same town for another fight. I go in the same smoothie shop, and I said, hey, is there a girl here that worked here that was from Australia that was just kind of weird and this and that? And the guy goes, no, there's never been anybody worked for Australia from here. And I said, she's a massage therapist. He goes, no. So I'm like, okay, that's weird. 3 months later, I go down to the same town. I go to watch a fight. It's down in Pensacola, Florida. I go to the same smoothie shop, and I ask again because I'm fascinated by this girl, like what her deal was.
Yeah.
And I asked the manager, I'm like, is there a girl that worked here that, he goes, no, there was a girl that used to work here that said she was from Australia and said she was a massage therapist.
Oh, my God.
And I was like, what? He goes, every day she was from somewhere else. One day it was England. One day it was Australia. He goes, one day she was a chiropractor. One day she was a proctologist. One day he's saying him all this stuff. He said she was out of her mind. And he goes, she's in jail or prison now for like attacking somebody or something. Like I started dying laughing. I realized I could have been killed. Like she could have stabbed me or something. But she was it was insane. Yeah, I was like, it only happened to me.
That's wild.
Did you ever see that Chris Cuomo where the girl has Tourette's and starts cursing him out during the interview?
No, but that sounds amazing. Adam sees the best stuff. Aside from the Island Boys, Adam sees the best stuff.
Hold on, let me see if I can find it.
Adam's always the one that like lets me onto things that I like. The Ivan Boy things I can't unsee once I see them. Like it just keeps.
So I guess there's a TikTok influencer, and look, I have family members with Tourette's, and most people with Tourette's, it's like a slight tick. You wouldn't even know it. You know? So like the unfair thing is that when people think, oh, all people with Tourette's just start cursing you out or just say horrible things.
Yeah.
That's really like a very extreme case. Well,
that's only the cool one.
But this girl actually had that case. I see if I can find it. And halfway through the interview, starts like calling him a dumb motherfucker. Like, oh my shit.
Lucky she didn't call him Fredo. He'd have lost it.
Yeah. Right. No,
that's ethnic slur.
Did you see when that guy called him Fredo and was filming in public, and all of a sudden he thought he turned into John Gotti? He's like, "What are you talking to me like that for?" Like all of a sudden he was like New York Italian, you know, like where did that accent come from? All of a sudden.
I remember when Tucker used to troll him all the time and be like, "Professional bodybuilder."
Right. He'd be good at weightlifting.
Yeah, he did look pretty big though, but still, like it was.
Yeah, no, he was jacked.
He was on the gear for sure.
Oh, for sure.
I got to get your guys' perspective on the Cat Williams thing before we get off here, because it's the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life.
I haven't watched it yet.
Oh my gosh, dude! It's the most amazing thing I've ever seen. But it's
like 2.5 hours.
Yeah,
dude, you won't turn it off once you start watching it. It's the most amazing thing ever. But Shannon Sharp has to be on the best steroids this side of the rock. He's got great genetics, but he's 57 or 58 years old. That dude is ripped, dude. I mean, like just massive. It's amazing, really. But
my opinion is this. I mean, the thing with Cat Williams is like he says like it was one of those guys I think that says like 5 things and like 3 of them are true. And then 2 are like really exaggerated. But because 3 are true, you believe the other 2. You know, he seems like one of those guys. But he said he could run a 4.4. And I'm like, there's no way. And then there's a video of him running like a 4.4. Like he really can run a 4.4.
No, but wait. They actually, the truth is he ran 94 feet.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that's not 40 yards.
Oh,
yeah, it's a little short. That's 31 yards.
But he was still a lot faster than I thought he was going to be. I was like, holy shit.
No, that motherfucker's not running 4.4 at 50. I promise you, he's not running 4.4.
Brendan Schaub ran a 4.4. I don't know if you guys heard that.
No,
he allegedly ran a 4.4 in college, and he could bench press 225 50 times, which is almost the NFL combine record. So
I haven't heard his name though in a long time, Schaub, but I don't know if that's better or worse for him. You know, because for a while I was always hearing just negative shit about him, but maybe he's going underground and like getting the shit.
Well, his videos are getting like him and Callan's podcast gets like 15,000 views a week now, down from 400,000. So that's not helping. But you're going to hear a lot about him here pretty soon because I'm doing a documentary about him and his comedy. So,
oh, come on!
I've been working on it for months. Like this documentary, it's called "The Intervention of Brendan Schaub." I'll send you the trailer.
You realize if you did comedy yourself, Sean, you'd be one of the funniest people in the world. You realize that, right?
Yeah. I don't want to travel. I did think I came up with a plan to tell Brendan Schaub that I'll write him a killer hour, but I want $100,000 for it. And I think he would do it, but then I would have to watch him be funny, and I think that would kill the enjoyment of the $100,000. Like I really do, because I told you about my son. I think my son's Cat Williams impression, right?
It's amazing. It's amazing,
dude. So
really?
Absolutely, my kid. I'll send him to you, Bill. I'll have to get your number from Adam. My kid's impressions are unbelievable. He wants to be a stand-up comic, but he's on par with. I'm talking like who's the guy that did John Mad? It is unbelievable.
How old is he?
Just turned 22. So he told me, like we were talking, he told me he doesn't want to go to school anymore. He's been going to IU down in college. And he's like, I want to be a stand-up comic. I was just afraid to tell you. I was like, why would you be afraid to tell me that? And he's like, I don't want you to think I'm going to be like a loser, like if I don't ever end up making it big. And I'm like, do what you love. I don't care if you make $30,000 a year, but you love it. I don't care, you know?
Yeah.
His impressions, he does an impression of Adam that is unbelievable too. Like
really?
He can be around you for 5 minutes and he can pick up everything you do. And
that's
within,
incredible. I love that.
Yeah,
you won't believe it's him. You'll think he's using AI when he does because he does the Cat Williams. He drops the N-word a couple times in it because you're doing Cat Williams. You have to, right? So he doesn't put his face on screen.
Yeah,
since he's white. But he does that, and I'm such an idiot. This black lady is taking my blood the other day, and I know her from going to the doctor all the time. I said, "You want to hear a really funny Cat Williams impression for my son?" And she was like, "Oh yeah," she knew about my son. And so I knew he said it at the beginning. I forgot he said it again. So I get past the first 10 seconds, and I start playing it for her, and she's like, "Man, that's amazing." I was like, "I'm hoping the F word doesn't offend you." She goes, No, it's fine. And so like he's, and at the end he drops the N-bomb, and all of a sudden her whole attitude toward it changed really quick. No. And I thought, dude, what did I just do? Like I could not believe it was at the end, and I forgot, But yeah, he's something else. I told him I'll write him like a hilarious 10 minutes. He goes, "Oh, I'd like to write my own stuff." And I was like, I don't think he thinks I'm that funny like other people do, but he doesn't think I'm that funny because I'm his dad, Of
course.
And I tell him all the time, I'm like, "Dude, I promise you I could write you like a 5-minute thing." But I forgot to tell you, Adam, he's dying to go on, not on tour with you, but just follow you around for a week, like on one of your things, He's like, "Dad, if I pay for it myself, would Adam let me just follow him on his comedy thing to see how the whole thing works?" He goes, "I don't mean perform. I just mean like follow him around." I'm like, "I'm sure he would, but I would like to go with you if we're going to do that." You know what I mean? Like,
100%. Yeah, especially some of these ridiculous places. Theo Von had one of the funniest things. He was there was a black guy, a comic. I don't know who the guy is. Super funny, like funny guy. I guess people love him, and he was very mad because I guess the caller before him dropped the N-word, and it was a white guy, and then Theo goes on and he tells Theo this, and Theo's like, "Yeah," he goes, that's not cool. When I want to say it, I just write it down. And then the guy hung up on Theo. He's like,
"That's so fucking funny, man. That's hilarious."
I'm like, "Man, that might be one of the funniest I've ever heard." Like, I was like, "That's so." He goes, "I want to say it, I write it down." Like,
that's so great.
I'm like, "Oh my God." So anyway, so here's Sean O'Malley. This is where I think MMA is becoming weird. Like, look, I've been an MMA fan forever. And even that girl who's the big influencer now, who's always doing that. And we played her before. I forgot her name. Maria Drama, I don't know. There's this whole like subculture, not even a subculture, but just a whole TikTok streaming of like Nelk boys and this and that. I just don't get it. I don't understand it.
God, you and me both, buddy.
Maybe I'm old. I'm 45 and I'm not 25. Maybe if I was 25, I would get it more. But this kind of sums up with like my confusion on all this shit. So what's name goes on a podcast holding his kid, right? Sean O'Malley. And I like Sean O'Malley. And this guy interviewing him, right? So look.
I have a good question. Have you ever been horny mid-fight?
Not mid-fight.
God.
And then you fuck, don't you? Oh, sorry, your daughter's right there. I'm sorry.
I got headset.
So would you ever have a threesome with or like a foursome, like two girls and me and you?
Yeah, 100%. I love a good four-back. I've never had one with another.
I've never had one. I really want to experience it, bro.
I mean,
And we just swap bitches and oh my God, man. I have a good question.
So like, what is
how did that guy get that interview is what I want to know.
How come he gets Sean O'Malley's podcast and he's that retarded?
I don't know. I think he works for what's that, the big one?
Barstool?
Yeah, well, he works for Barstool. But it's like,
oh God.
Him, first of all, Sean's with his kid. Okay, the kid's obviously 2. So, all right. And even if you don't have your headphones on, it's like that kid's going to grow up, maybe watch that one day. There's a certain respect that you have to have when someone's with their kid. All right. So right away, he goes, you ever get horny mid-fight? That's a stupid question, but I get it. Okay, fine. All right. And you go out and bang later. Okay, fine. You ever want to have a foursome, me and you, and then swap bitches? Like this guy? Like, what? Like,
is he just trying to get clicks? He's like, "Oh, this will set the internet on fire."
Dude, I mean,
you can tell that guy's not used to doing that. He's not used to interviewing people either. He seemed very awkward and strange, but it was that was weird. I'll tell you, if you really want to kill yourself, look up the Dobre brothers. If you guys haven't heard of them, dude, you'll want to die. The first night I watched it, I was like, they're making millions. They're driving Lamborghinis, and all they do, they have speech impediments, and they can do backflips, and that's like it. Like they're gymnastic kids. It is, dude. It's the Island Boys like 10 times worse. Like it is. We played a prank on our mom. Hey, mom, someone stole your car. Oh no, she didn't. We were just kidding. Like it's literally
It
And they're
can't be
like
worse.
30.
It can't be worse than that. It can't be worse than we should have a foursome swap bitches. You want to be naked with Sean O'Malley and banging girls. And the guy, I mean, what is this? What are we doing? Like,
I don't know.
What are we doing?
Do you know why Dana White gave one of the Nelk boys $250,000? Because I still can't get an answer to that.
What?
No.
Yeah, he just handed one of them on the podcast $250,000. Like, there you go, just out of nowhere. And I'm like, dude, how do I get on that podcast, or how do I interview Dana White? And then I still don't know. I don't think anybody knows why he gave it to him. There was no rhyme or reason to it. Like,
I don't get any of it. I don't get any of it. And then I feel like I'm old or something's wrong with me. But
we're grumpy old white men.
No, I used to ask girls inappropriate questions. I've asked plenty of them. But it's
it's what made Howard Stern a legend.
But I'm not asking fighters if I want to have a foursome and really asking them, and then and then go, we could swap bitches, and the guy's holding his kid. It's just, what are we doing here? Dun, 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 dun. It's not a bird. It's not a plane. It's a ball trimmer sent from space. Gentlemen, our friends over at MANSCAPED have been working night and day to bring you a below-the-waist grooming experience like none other with their brand new Performance Package 5.0 Ultra, featuring the Lawnmower 5.0. We're talking about a next-generation trimmer with interchangeable blade heads for whatever shave your mind can imagine. That's right. Upgrade your grooming game to the Ultra Sphere this year by going to manscaped.com for 20% off, plus free shipping with code MMA Roasted. High tech for low places. Manscaped. I'm telling you, people, I use Manscaped all the time. My balls feel amazing. Amazing. Okay. If you have a girlfriend or a boyfriend and they put their balls, you put your balls in their mouth, okay, or they put their balls in your mouth, whatever it is, okay. You want your balls, you want them shaved, you want them feeling good. It's a whole new experience, okay. AI is cool, but I think this might be the biggest technological advancement the world has seen in the past decade. Now, every man knows how scary it is when going for a close shave. Oh my God, I've cut myself. It's horrible. And then the whole day you're like, just not feeling good. It's just shaving, like your balls are just, you're wearing boxers and it's just going against you. And you're like, not good. Okay. Their 5th generation trimmer features 2 interchangeable next-gen skin-safe blade heads, a standard one for taking a little off the top, and a new foil blade for go smooth whenever your heart desires. Okay, I'm telling you. They also have the Weed Whacker 2.0, which features skin-safe technology, which helps prevent nicks, snags, and tugs in those delicate holes. Very delicate. Okay, so get 20% off plus free shipping with the code MMA Roasted at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code with the code MMA Roasted at manscaped.com. I promise you, you've never seen a ball trimmer look like a spaceship. Get yours today with our folks at Manscaped. You're going to thank me when you have nice, shaved balls that feel really good. Check it out, Manscaped. And that guy.
I think if you did get that, Adam, that you would be the one with the problem. Like if you actually got that, like I can see that, I understand that. It would be like, okay, Adam, somebody's gonna have to talk to Adam because he's getting that guy's ride. Like
I've never, and the thing is like, it's just, and then O'Malley says yes. But like, I mean, why wouldn't O'Malley? Most fighters, I think, would just hang up, be like, "Dude, you're a weirdo.
Yeah.
I didn't sign up for this bullshit." Like, well, I mean, O'Malley obviously knows the guy, but man,
yeah.
It's just the whole thing is weird.
Did it go viral?
It went viral for the wrong. I mean, every comment was like, "What the fuck?"
But is there such a thing as viral for the wrong reasons? Because even with the Joe Coy thing, I think Joe Coy is way more famous now than he was 2 weeks ago. So no matter what people say, I think it's good for him. Honestly.
No, I think that this is viral for the wrong reasons. I mean, you ask Mayhem Miller, there's a lot of people that were very famous for the wrong reasons. And it's good. It's good for a month or 2 months or 3 months. But eventually it's like, okay.
I guess it depends on if you weren't going to be famous otherwise. So there's probably no such thing as bad publicity unless you're already famous. Like if you're
okay.
Yeah, if you're not going to be famous otherwise, then maybe,
So now I guess in MMA news, now they're saying that Masvidal said he unretired and he wants to box Nate Diaz, and they've agreed to box each other.
I like that.
Do you? I
mean, why not?
Because Nate Diaz lost almost every round to Jake Paul. And he's a great at like MMA boxing, but his boxing, it seems like he doesn't really turn over his punches. And it's, he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. He's a high level grappler. Why do we want to see them box? Like, why are we looking? Don't we want to see people compete in things that they're like great at or that they're the best at? It's one thing if you're friends.
But don't they legitimately hate each other too? That's also fun.
Yeah, but I'd rather see them fight in things that they're actually the best in the world at or among them.
I see.
I mean,
I think Nate Diaz could probably beat almost anyone in boxing if it was unlimited rounds. Like literally, if it was not anybody, but a lot of dudes. If it was 60 rounds, I think you would eventually quit. You know what I mean? Like people would be like, at round 18, like, dude, I'm done. I can't go anymore. And I think he'd even beat Jake Paul if they'd have gone another 12, But I don't think I think he's not a great boxer, and I love Nate. He's awesome, but he's not very athletic. He's just not. He's stiff and
but does he do triathlons?
Yeah, he's a great athlete. And he's mentally tougher than anyone in the world, and I think that's what Sean's saying. If it was like the old days where they won 100 rounds, Nate Diaz would win because eventually the guy.
He's not very strong and not very fluid with his movements, not very fast, But I mean, as far as like having balls and the knowledge, he's got it. But you look at a kid like Jake Paul, some of it's age, but Jake Paul is an extremely athletic kid. Like the way he punches, the way everything looks like a pro boxer from the time he started. Like there's just some guys that got it and some guys don't. That. Fluidity of motion or whatever. It's I can't wait to see Anthony Joshua fight Ngannou. I'll tell you that. That's going to be interesting too, man.
Do you? Because I feel like I hate to say it, but I feel like with that fight, it's kind of like the secret's open on Ngannou now. Before, no one knew if he was even a good boxer. Tyson Fury severely underestimated him, but don't you think that Anthony Joshua's like extra 20 years of experience is going to just
well, Josh was 10 times better than him, but he's also got a glass chin, so that's what'll be interesting to me is Ngannou can beat anybody if he catches them. And Josh was only downfall. Josh was probably one of the best to ever do it. He just doesn't have a great chin. When he gets hit, he kind of gets rocked sometimes. So I'm just glad he's getting like $20 or $30 million. They said to fight him. So that
you're right.
It looks like his decision to leave the UFC worked out pretty well after all. After 10 or 15 to fight Tyson, and now 20 to 30 to fight Anthony Joshua. It's crazy, man.
So now they're saying John Jones and Tom Aspinall are in like a Twitter war. But look, John Jones was supposed to fight Stipe. He pulled out because he was hurt. So then they made an interim thing between Aspinall and Pavlovich, and then Aspinall won. So now they're like Jones is waiting for Stipe. So now Aspinall's got to wait. It's kind of the UFC's
3
fault.
years. Yeah.
They shouldn't have made that the interim belt. They should have just said Jones is the champ until he's back, because I could see what they're both saying, but also what's the point of any of this? Because Jones isn't coming back for another, 6 months anyway, or 5 months?
At least, probably another year. And then I think he must wait till Stipe's 50 is probably John Jones' goal.
Wait, why isn't Jones coming back? What happened? Was he injured or was it drugs?
Yeah,
well, probably both, but he does have an injury, so.
Dude, after seeing Chandler Jones's complete meltdown, his brother, who's in the NFL, had a complete meltdown. He posted the other day, he was on Twitter and he's naked. So he's doing a video and then he accidentally shows the mirror and his dick's out. And then he's like, oops. And then he doesn't even delete the video afterwards. So
just like Kim Kardashian accidentally released her sex video. It's always an accident.
No, I honestly think he didn't know, but then he didn't even care. So, but that's the crazy thing. It's like after seeing his antics, Jones looks kind of normal.
That's awesome. In comparison to your brother, you're fairly normal. That's what's awesome is I met I wasn't going to say his name. I'll think of it. It's he played linebacker for the Patriots. He's really good. But I met Jamie something. I can't remember his last name, but him and another guy down in Florida at a resort, and I was talking to him, 2 NFL players in the sauna, and they'd had no interest in talking to me at all until they found out I fought in the UFC. And they're like, oh, man, wait, who'd you fight? They were all over my nuts then, but they didn't even want to talk to me before that, And so then he asked if I knew John Jones. I said, oh, I've met him, but I don't know him, And he said, his brother's playing NFL. I said, yeah. He said his one brother's a little funny. And I was like, "Oh, is he?" I said, "Yeah, I've never met him." He goes, I mean, like a little strange, a little fruity. I was like, "Oh, yeah, I didn't know." And so he kept insisting that he tried to have sex with him or something. I don't know which Jones brother, but
oh my God,
that he was trying to have sex with that. God, I can't remember his last name. I'll have to look it up. But he played linebacker for the Patriots for years.
Chandler Jones, and then there was the other. I forgot the other brother's name. Dude, when I met what's his name? The guy that fought Pat Barry and like the greatest Czech Congo. I go, "Hey man,"
oh yeah.
I go, "Nice to meet you." He goes, "I'm gay," and I go, "Okay," and he goes, "Just kidding." I was like,
"Unless you are."
I'm like, what kind of a fucking strange joke? Anyway, so Ian Machado, Gary, he says that his attacks on his wife Layla fucking stung, but it made their relationship stronger. I mean, that kind of makes sense, everyone called your wife a whore and this and that, and you stick with her, and I could see her liking him better because of that.
Yeah.
So this week, are you guys gonna watch the fights this week?
Who's fighting? I'll tell you.
Okay, all right. So this Saturday, it feels like there have been so many fights that they should have had in the last couple of weeks, but this Saturday night in the UFC, I believe it's at the Apex. It's fucking Wi-Fi is really, really. You
can almost guarantee I'm not watching it if it's at the Apex, but
really, I mean,
yeah, I don't know. Those fight nights usually aren't that great.
So all right, so this it's Johnny Walker. Johnny Walker, he's the guy that he after he won one of his fights, he started breakdancing, and then he like pulled out his shoulder while breakdancing.
Dislocated his own shoulder. Yeah.
He's fighting Ankalaev. Ankalaev is 18-1-1. The guy's a straight monster. He lost one fight where he was winning 10-8, 10-8, and then got triangled with 1 second left to Paul Craig. So who, by the way, now has hair plugs. Who says he's like gotten so much pussy since the hair plugs, but like from his wife, I guess, which is also weird. It's always weird when you brag about getting pussy from your wife, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
But I guess guys are now all going to Turkey. Have you heard about this thing?
Oh, I have. I had a friend who did it, and you know what? I kind of want to do it too now.
Have you heard about this, Sean?
No, I'm lost.
So Turkey has a program now where they'll fly you out and like put you up and do hair plugs for like $5,000 or something, and then it's like a whole like vacation, hair plug vacation, and they do a whole thing, and it's like all these guys are signing up to go to Turkey to do it.
Yeah. You have to convert to Islam is the only catch.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's something in it for them besides giving out free hair plugs.
No, it's not free. It's like $5,000. But I know that all these guys are signed up to do it. Like I don't know why it has to be in Turkey. But yeah, it's like these turkeys. It's like an American. It's like
because there's no medical oversight, so everything's super cheap. You know what I mean? They don't have any like organization that's overseeing doctors. They just do it. Well,
remember when remember I saw you, Bill, like 20 years ago? You were getting your car fixed in Mexico.
Yeah.
And then you went and got
the same thing, except with hair. Yeah.
And then you got dental work there too, right?
Oh, I think I got a root canal there.
From the same guy that did your car?
Probably his brother, at least.
I know Bob Sapp always told me he would take me to Thailand and get my back fixed for $1,500. And I was like, dude, I don't know about going to Thailand. He goes, you can get anything for $1,500 in Thailand. He said, if you need brain surgery, $1,500. I'm like, I don't know.
So Ankalaev's taking on Johnny Walker. That should be a good fight. I think Ankalaev's going to win. Seems like Walker's got a great punch, but I don't know. Jim Miller, who it's got to be like 75 years old. He said he's fighting a UFC 3.
Yeah, I know. That guy's not retired?
No, he's fighting. And that guy, MANSCAPED, who's the guy who, after his fight, he called the other guy like the F word or so he said that from the octagon. Everyone got mad at him. Andrei Arlovsky's fighting. He's fighting that guy that used to be a pitcher that throws overhand rights like he's throwing a fastball. And then Ricky Simone, who's a monster who got like the best mullet in the game. So it's actually a pretty good card. That's that. And then in Miami, UFC UFC 297, which is next week. It's Strickland versus DDP. That's gonna be good. Sean Strickland. So there's a video of him last week doing paintball, but no, it's not even paintball. They're doing fire. Let me see if I can find it. They're throwing firecrackers at each other. Did you guys see this?
What the fuck? No.
It's like paintball with firecrackers.
I have done that before. It hurts, man.
Why would you do that?
Well, me and my friends just shoot fireworks at each other as a joke, but like you get hit with a Roman candle or something, or they throw like an M80 at you and it explodes on your skin. It can do some damage, man. It's crazy.
Yeah. Again, why would you do that?
I actually had a guy dare me one time. It was actually one of my brother's friends said I didn't have the balls to tape an M80 to my chest and light it. And I was like, if I can put a piece of cardboard underneath it so it doesn't burn me, I'll do it. And I was like 12 or 13. And I did it, not counting on the concussive force of an explosion, like about knocking my heart out of rhythm. So yeah, I did that, and it almost got knocked out from it. Like it almost made me pass out. But
wow,
yeah, I've done that. It's quite a different thing when it's taped to you. So
he like did it with like that girl. And I guess like they put like the Jackass music to it of like, you know how they did like you know, but I just don't understand. Okay, here we go. All right, Sean Strickland having some firework fun with Nina Drama. I guess I don't know if they're dating. People say they're dating. She's definitely a beautiful lady.
They're not now. They will be soon.
Here we go. I mean that, you know. So can you guys see this?
It's a little small, but yeah,
I can see it. But yeah, it's not moving yet.
I don't know how to blow it up. But Sean Strickland gets a New Year's Eve firework ahead of UFC 297. So yeah, hold on. Let's see if I could do this. It says
the good news is there's no way he could be injured doing that, so he doesn't have to worry about the fight. Going.
I mean, if you're Dana White, right? If you're Dana White,
oh my God,
shouldn't they have something where they could be like, guys, no, motorcycles, no firework. I mean, they have to have something where like, because if he gets injured and now he's out of the main event, they're gonna be fucked.
But don't you think but then they don't have to pay him a dime. They get another fighter who's hungry and ready to go right away. And people are usually pretty forgiving of that, right?
No, it's pay-per-view sales, dude. It's like all of a sudden the numbers went from, whatever million to, and they got to find someone to step in. I mean, this guy's now a draw, especially with Colby out, or Colby with his last performance. Yeah. People are all about Sean Strickland. He's like that guy now of like conservative, kind of like say what.
Did you see when he broke down on Theo Von's podcast and started crying?
Yeah,
that was heartbreaking. That was really sad, man. That was pitiful.
It was pitiful.
But I mean, it was sad. Just not pitiful, but I mean, like it made me sad for him. Just like you could see the trauma still there after all these years. Like
it made me sad for him, but it also was like for me, like I said last time, for him to be like everyone's off limits and kids are off limits and wives are off limits. Then the first thing he does is go on this guy's wife. You're like, but then I'm like, well, why do I like Sean Strickland, but why do I expect him to have this moral code?
Yeah, expect anything different.
I mean, I'm an idiot if that's what I think. But yeah, of course it was sad. And it sucks. But it also explains, where that, like, I remember my high school, my wrestling coach used to be like, where's your mom? And I'm like, I don't know. She's in a mental hospital somewhere. And he's like, oh, well, that explains where this fire comes from. A lot of these athletes, like they, kind of explains that.
Explains where the arson in the middle school came from.
So next week, all right. So Sean Strickland is fighting DDP. Raquel Pennington is fighting Mayra Buena Silva. That's the co-main event. That's kind of a weird co-main event, but I guess it's for a title, so you gotta put it there. Arnold Allen, Chris Curtis is up here. It's good. It's good. And then UFC 299. That one looks really good. Well, 298 looks good. We got Volkanovski versus.
Thank you, guys.
Well, hold on. Here we go.
We're gonna.
All right, here we go. Oh, well, that's the jackass thing. Fuck, this thing's taking forever. UFC 299, which got announced. It's O'Malley versus Vera for the title.
I like that.
Dustin Poirier versus Benoit St. Denis, who I don't know if you guys have heard of, but the guy's a monster.
Yeah.
Peter Yan versus Song Yadong. Gilbert Burns, Jack Della Magdalena. MVP versus Kevin Holland. Curtis Blades versus Almeida. RDA versus Gamrot. That is a good card. That's a really good card. This guy, Josh Parisian, is fighting this guy, Robles Despania. Have you heard of this guy?
No.
All right, so this guy, he's I'll see if I can go. He's a Cuban heavyweight. All three of his last three fights have gone a total of 19 seconds.
Wow.
And the guy is fucking humongous. But once again, we don't know how good he is because he's like 6'11" or something, and he's like a karate.
Jesus.
Yeah, he's huge.
6'11". Sweep the leg, Johnny.
He's something. Something ridiculous. Let's see. Of course, it doesn't work. This Wi-Fi sucks. But you got to look up this guy, Cuban heavyweight phenom Robles Despania. He's making his UFC debut at UFC 299 in Miami. So that's a good card.
You don't hear about too many 6'11" Cubans. Not usually
or like 6'11" white people in general.
He's not
like
yeah. No, so but yeah,
I meant to ask you guys real quick. Have you guys heard of Ben Bankus, the comedian?
No, who's that?
Dude, I found his videos on accident last night. He's got some funny shit, man. Like, he's not very famous. He does this impression of a human monkey hybrid that I guess they made in China. He does an impression of it with a monkey over his face. It's one of the funniest things. I'll send it to you. I don't know. He's like 2,000 followers or whatever, but man, he's funnier than shit. I guess he's an unknown stand-up from Canada. He's got some funny shit, man.
Dude, Canadians have some of the funniest people.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at like people from Canada, like Jim Carrey back in the day, like Mike Myers back in the day. Martin Short, Norm Macdonald,
Eugene Levy.
I mean, Jim Carrey might be the funniest comic actor back in the day. I mean, he's not anymore, but back when he was in Ace Ventura, like,
oh my God,
Ventura 2 came out, and he came out of that hippo's asshole, I think I laughed for like uncontrollably for like 25 minutes. Like, I had to like pause the movie to like. I mean, I don't think I've ever laughed harder in my life when he came out. Like, that was the stupidest shit I've ever seen in my life.
But I agree with you. This could be a real quick plug. There's a movie called Dix the Musical that just came out. And if you watch the first 30 minutes, there's a scene that is funnier than Jim Carrey coming out of the hippo's butthole.
There's no way.
I'm telling you, Adam, it's the funniest scene I've ever seen in a movie.
Are you in this movie? Are you?
No, God, no. No. It's a massive bomb. Dix, the musical. It's going to be hard to get to that mark, but if you can get to the 25-minute mark, that scene with Nathan Lane is the funniest scene literally I've ever seen in a comedy in my life.
Funnier than Jim Carrey coming out of
1,000,000%, dude.
There's no way.
It's the funniest scene it's the most random, bizarre, dude. I literally cried, fell out of my seat in the movie theater watching it.
How's the rest of the movie?
Not so good, but that scene,
just the one.
I'm telling you, it's worth it. Just rent it. One of you has to rent it on Prime and come back and feedback, because I'm trying to convert the world to this fucking movie.
Look, man, if you say it's, I mean, you are very funny. You're one of the funny people I know. You got a great sense of humor. So if you say so, but I mean, this is the highest level of comedy. That I don't think I'm ever gonna laugh harder than when Jim Carrey came out of that asshole.
Give it a shot. Once you get through Megan Mullally's awful fucking performance in this movie, 25
now you ruined it. Now, all right. What if I watch it and what if I watch this and don't know what scene you're talking about? You know how fucking mad I'm.
No, wait, Adam. You will 1,000,000% know the scene, and you'll be like, "This is Bill Dawson's humor in a fucking nutshell," and you will fuck. And if you don't find it funny, man, then we're not friends anymore.
All right. I'm gonna have to watch. All All right, Dick the Musical. And it's
And you said it's 25 minutes in?
25 minutes in.
Okay.
But you need to watch up to that to get the context. Okay?
So this is the funniest thing you've ever seen, because that's the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Funniest, yeah. I agree with you. The hippo's asshole is one of the this is funnier to me.
Wow. That's high level. But isn't that crazy? Like that Canada has Norm Macdonald and Jim Carrey, like probably the funniest comedian and funniest comic actor. Like that's kind of crazy. I mean, Norm Macdonald, his stand up. Norm Macdonald on The View, I probably watched that 9,000 times.
Yeah.
I've never seen that.
Oh God, you got to watch that. It's amazing.
Dude, he
I've
pisses
seen everything Norm's ever done.
He goes out. He goes out on The View right away. It's right after the election with Gore and Bush, and starts calling Bill Clinton a murderer, like to the people, like right away.
He said, "I think it's time we get the homicide out of the White House." Like that was one of the first things he said to me.
And they're like, "What are you talking about? You can't say that." He goes, "Oh, I thought it was common knowledge that Bill Clinton's a murderer. Hillary Clinton's a murderer." Like he says it like 5 times. And then like I read the whole backstory of it. Like he was up for 48 hours gambling. He didn't want to do The View. Like they made him do it. And then like, dude, they kick him off. And like he trolls the whole set. Like it's 5 minutes of just him. Just he takes a phone call during. They want to kill him. They want to kill him, and it's not even like, oh, we're playing around. Like they really fucking hated him, and it's so funny.
They asked him to tell. They said he had a Bill Cosby story, and he starts to talk, and he goes, "Now let's just be clear. Bill Cosby's never been accused of killing anyone. You know, like because it keeps going back to the Bill Clinton's a murderer. You know, I want to be clear. He's never been accused.
I gotta watch that.
Like it's funny.
It's so funny. I mean, it is so funny. Like one of the funniest stories. And I asked Norm about this. I asked Norm to his face. I met Norm and he was so nice. And I go, man, I with the coffee bean. I go, I got to ask something. Please tell me this happened, because I heard it, and he said yes, this absolutely happened. So he did Star Search, and he got to like the semifinals. But he told his manager, I have no more clean jokes. Like I have nothing left. And like, just go out there and just you'll be fine, right? So he goes out there and he just like blanks, right? And then he's like, I got this bowl of soup, and I was trying to think of how I can make the soup. So I put some parsley in, and then I put some crackers, and then I put some tomatoes, and then I put some olives, and then I put some mustard. And this goes on for 5 minutes with no punchline.
I love that.
He's so awesome.
And then he said he was looking down, and then I guess it was like Ed Sullivan or something. He goes, so you're from Canada, huh? He goes, so what's the difference in Canada and the US? And he's looking down, and he just goes, shoes. And they go, all right, give it up for Norm Macdonald. They said he got 0 stars. Like,
yeah.
Like. I asked him that. He goes that he laughed and goes, yeah, that's what happened. So
he was so awesome, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a nice guy too. Like he would, and they said that he would, every time he performed, it was a different hour. Like he always did it, and depending on what type of Oxycontin he was on, like it was either the funniest set or it was the most awkward set. Like they've ever, like it was either a straight up murder or people were like, "What is going on right now?"
Did you read his book? His last book, his autobiography?
No.
I tried to until I realized it was all fiction. Like the first 30 pages, I was like, "This."
But is it really fiction, or is it his way of telling people that he was raped as a child? Truly,
I don't know. I just know when he said that the first night he hung out with, or the first day he hung out with Norm or with Lorne Michaels, and then before he left, Lorne was like, "Hey, do you have any liquid opium I can get, or something like that?" And he was like, "Sure." Or whatever. And they talked about how they were doing morphine or opium together or something. I was like, that can't be true. Like, they can't be. If anything, Lorne Michaels would try to have sex with him, not do drugs.
I heard a funny story about Rob Schneider, because Rob Schneider's always at this club I'm at, and Rob Schneider was saying, like, back in the day, he was in like the band, right? He was in the band and he was in the marching band. So when he got like famous, he financed the band. The band was like, they were getting rid of the marching band for like 20 years. He funded the band at his like high school. And he said he wasn't doing that well anymore. So he couldn't like keep paying them all this money. And then all of a sudden in the paper, it's like, Rob Schneider's getting rid of the band. So like all these people.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the way it goes.
Everyone's mad at him.
My dad always told me if you want somebody to hate you, give them $300 every Christmas for no reason, and then don't give it to them after the 5th or 6th year, and they'll hate your guts. You know, like
1,000,000%.
My dad always said that.
And that's the Democratic Party in America.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Bill, what do you got coming up?
Well, right now I'm in beautiful Hawaii, and I'm shooting NCIS Hawaii. And so that's going to be out in a month in February. And then just like, I have just shows every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Laugh Factory.
What's your part on
Hollywood?
What kind of part you got?
I basically play Patrick Swayze in Point Break.
That's amazing.
Like literally. I'm like a surfer extreme. Well, I'm a washed up athlete, but I never get to play the current athlete. I'm always like, and then I have to do a scene on the beach with this guy, Noah Mills, who's like number 3 in the call sheet. And he's like literally 4% body fat. He's 6'2", former fit model, 4% body fat. And I'm like probably mostly body fat. And we're on the beach next to each other. And I'm trying to throw a towel over myself. And they're like, no, lose a towel. And I'm like, I don't want to stand next to this fucking shredded guy doing the scene. It's like, you look great as a washed up athlete. I'm always like, why can't I just be an athlete? I'm always like the former athlete or the washed up athlete. But so I'm playing and I'm like doing a heist, but I'm also like a surfer and biker and shit, So it's just Point Break.
That's the exact plot line of Point Break.
1,000,000%.
He's an ICS Point Break.
And the great thing about like network TV is they're like, oh yeah, totally. Like they don't give a shit. They're like, we're getting paid at you. Who gives a shit? It's 1,000,000% stolen.
Is the other guy's name Johnny Utah?
No, but my name is TJ Shaw, so it's close, Oh
my God. Do you like play football, then you tackle him, and you're like, hey, you're Johnny Utah, and then you know it, and you're like, I used to watch you.
No, but I surf in it, and by the way, I tried to surf. I popped my hamstring fucking day one because I am a washed-up athlete. And then I parachute out of a plane, I surf, and I bike. So it's literally Point Break.
This is Point Break.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And Sean, what do you got coming up?
Nothing, as always, so I'm good. I'll be just hanging out. So
I love it. And then next week I'm in actually this Saturday night, I'm with Russell Peters in Toronto at Caesars Hotel.
Nice.
Sold out, 6,000 people. I'm at Comedy Bar. I'm at Comedy Bar shooting a comedy special Monday.
Nice.
In Toronto. I'm going to be on Gutfeld again on the 22nd, and the 20th and 21st. or 19th and 20th. I'm in Lowell, Arkansas at the Grove, Lowell, Arkansas, and then the following week I'm in Dallas at TK's Comedy Club, which is awesome. So, well, thank you guys so much. You guys are the best. Love you guys. Take care.
Thank you.
Grand slams, no hitters, and double plays are back. That's right. And there's no better place to get on the MLB action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook and official partner of Major League Baseball. And guess what, people? New customers in Massachusetts get in on the action with $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Just sign up at FanDuel.com/Boston. And finally, you can bet on all your favorite sports, from the money line to point spreads to player props and more. I love it, okay? If I'm going to bet, I'm going to go on FanDuel. So now, bet on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Don't miss your chance to get $200 of bonus bets. Win or lose. How great is that? Okay? Visit FanDuel.com/Boston and make every moment more. That's FanDuel, the official partner of Major League Baseball. You got to be 21 and older
and present in Massachusetts. Okay, your first online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable. And bonus bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Help is here. So is hope. Hope and help. GamblingHelpLineMA.org or call 1-800-327-5050 for 24/7 support. Play it smart from the start. GameSenseMA.com or call 1-800-GAM-1234. That's FanDuel. Check it out now. Right now. You want to bet? That's where you go.
So we got a special guest here, Cody Brundage, badass fighter, going to the biggest fight of his career. All eyes on him. UFC 300. This is the big one. This is, what are you, like a 10-1 underdog, 20-1, 30-1?
I think 15-1. Last I checked, I stopped looking. It got kind of ridiculous.
15-1 against Bo Nickal, who are people calling him the best wrestler, one of the best in the country, one of the best in the world. People are counting you out, but I think you got a good shot, man. I think this is your fight. This is your Rocky.
Yeah, I feel good about it, man. I feel like I wouldn't have said yes if I didn't feel like I could win. I'm not just happy to be a part, right? So I think people are definitely counting me out. I think he's probably counting me out a little bit. I saw an interview where he like verbatim said he was looking past me. So, that's all good, bro. I'm happy with that. That's kind of where I've been my whole career, and it puts me in a good spot.
You know what? I was looking up some of your accolades and stuff. I think this is a really good fight for you because I think people are sleeping on your wrestling. I'm looking at some of your. I mean, obviously, you're not Bo Nickal level wrestling, if I'm being totally honest, but you were 128 and 22 in high school. You were runner-up in the state of what state was it?
South Carolina.
South Carolina, runner-up. You got a D1, couple D1 Scott offers, right?
Yep. I ended up going D2 and then qualified for nationals twice, made the blood round twice. So I got the wrestling roots. And the funny thing, if this was an NCAA wrestling match, Bo Nickal would probably whoop my ass for sure, right? But it's not. I get to punch him, I get to kick him. I've been training a lot longer than he has. And I'm the first guy that he's fought that has any kind of wrestling background at all, right? So he hasn't really had anybody oppose his wrestling, which I get, man. I'm never going to undercut him. I coach high school wrestling, and some of the stuff that I show is stuff that Bo Nickal was doing, right? Like, so I'm a fan of Bo Nickal as a wrestler. I watched him. We kind of were in school similar times. He's a little younger than me, but, I was a fan of that Penn State era with Jason Nolf and Bo Nickal and those guys. So I've definitely followed his career, but I definitely think people are underselling my wrestling a little bit and not realizing that this guy's never fought really anybody with one, finishing power, or two, wrestling ability. So it's a huge step up in competition for him. And, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, MMA wrestling and wrestling are way different. It's like, that's why, I mean, you see Leon Edwards take down Colby Covington. You see John Jones take down Daniel Cormier. And you go, well, one guy's an Olympian and one guy's a junior college national champion, but it's, go, oh, the guy's an Olympian. It's just it's different. You don't need all those. You don't need the 10,000 moves. You need like
500%. Like Islam, everybody touts his wrestling, says how good he is at wrestling, and I believe him. But Volk did a pretty good job of kind of stalling what he was doing and stopping him from having success. And Volk's not a great wrestler, right? He doesn't come from a wrestling pedigree, wrestling background. Even in Bo's fights, his wrestling, obviously his hands have complemented his wrestling because people are so worried about it. But his wrestling hasn't been that great, right? He hasn't been launching people through the air. Like usually he'll throw really hard and people are so worried about getting hit or the wrestling that they give up an easy takedown, right? So it's a huge difference and it took me a long time to figure that out, that MMA wrestling is different than folk style wrestling. I don't know if he's figured that out yet. He hasn't had to. So hopefully, it's my job to make him figure it out on the spot.
And when they offered you the fight, did you say yes right away? Did you put down a list of people did you say you wanted to fight Bo Nickal, or they come to you with it?
Yeah, I've said his name a few times before this one. Obviously, when Trayshawn fell out, I tried to hop in on that one. They obviously went with Val Woodburn, but I tried to hop in on that, and then obviously it didn't work out. But yeah, I told my wife the day before this fight, or before they called me for this fight, I was like, I'd seen on Twitter that Bo Nickal was going to be UFC 300. They're looking for an opponent. I was like,
I bet you that they're going to hit me up and see if I want this fight. And the next day, my coach called me. He said, I got an offer. I said, is it Bo Nickal at UFC 300? He said, you bet your ass it is. I was like, let's do it. So I figured, it kind of made sense just kind of where we're at in our careers. They, like I said, they had him booked against Trayshawn, who's a common opponent. And obviously he won his fight. So they wanted to kind of push him to the next level of competition without pushing him too far. And it just kind of made sense.
Now, are you bringing in Dave Taylor to help you, or some of these are you really?
Yeah, so I've trained with David a little bit.
I was just kidding. I was just.
Oh no, yeah.
Are you really bringing in Dave Taylor?
Yeah. So I've trained with Dave a little bit. We're signed to the same management team. He's thinking about transitioning to MMA potentially after the Olympics this year, and so I've helped him out a little bit. I think he'll come through. He's not gonna be here long term. He's gonna be here for like a week or so. Just kind of go over a few things. He's pretty familiar with Bo, and they've wrestled quite a few times. They were teammates, kind of. Like I think David was there after Bo, but they both come from Penn State lineage, and both kind of are in that room. But is
that a big is he gonna get mad? There's some behind the scenes drama of dude, you're a Penn State guy, and now you're helping out my opponent.
I don't know. I don't think so. I think I told him, if it's an issue, don't feel like you need to come out here or whatever. And he's like, no, I think it'll be fine. I don't know if him and Bo are that close, but I got a couple other wrestlers coming out too. A guy named Garrett Lindberger. He's a Sadiq Yusuf's wrestling coach. He was a couple-time national champion at Notre Dame Division II school. And then I'm actually bringing out Nick Maximov, who beat me in my UFC debut. He was able to out-wrestle me in that, so I figured that was a pretty good look. It's hard because you're not going to bring, other than David Taylor, right? You're not going to bring guys in that are Bo Nickal level at wrestling. And I don't really feel like I need that. I just need someone who's going to relentlessly pursue the wrestling and kind of just give me that look. And so I have a few guys coming in that I feel like can replicate that and kind of show me that, and have fought at the highest stage. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be a good camp. And, I got 3.5 months, which typically, last year I was getting 5-week camps at the longest.
Your last fight was awesome. I mean, you slammed the guy in his head and knocked him out. Was that planned?
Wasn't planned. It was just, all instinct. And I'm happy it worked out for me. Honestly, when I picked him up, I thought he was going to let go. He did it, and it worked out in my favor. But yeah, definitely not my plan going into the fight, but happy it worked out.
Now I was looking at some of the things you did. So you were on the football, wrestling, and swim team in high school. Did you have any time to get laid? I mean, was it? It sounds like that's
no, absolutely not. And my parents didn't like me that much. I feel like that's why they made me do all those sports. So I was never home. So no time to get laid. My parents must not have liked me. It was rough being Cody Brundage in high school. I was also probably 160 pounds soaking wet, which definitely also didn't help my chances when it came to getting laid.
Well, listen, man, you're married to Amanda. Was Amanda Bobby Cooper, who's smoking hot, also a fighter. So I mean, obviously you did something right. Your dad was in special forces, and your mom was an Olympian.
Yeah,
I mean, they must have been the most disciplined parents in the history of parents.
Not really. My dad was he was a loose cannon, right? He was young, and my parents actually split when I was young, so. Okay. I had a good combination of parents, right? My dad he kind of got to be the cool, fun parent because I would see him on the weekends, right? So he kind of he didn't follow in the discipline of the armed forces, right? But my mom's a hard ass. She's the toughest person I know, and she's a badass, right? So me making it to the UFC, I finally was I could sit at the adult table with you and we could talk sports because she was super successful in her career.
So your dad was he the Navy SEAL?
He was 82nd Airborne. He was a paratrooper and a Pathfinder.
Wow. Did he go to any wars?
He was in South America mostly.
Wow.
Running some stuff down there.
In South America. And then your mom, did she place in the Olympics?
She didn't place in the Olympics, but she did the biathlon, so skiing and shooting. And then she actually met my dad. She joined the National Guard, and she was a photographer, taking pictures when my dad would lead the jumps. Because my dad was a master jumper, so he would do all the jumps. So she was taking their pictures, jumping out of the planes with them, and that's how they met.
Wow, that's
yeah.
And then your sister was also a D1 athlete, right?
Yeah, so she played college soccer at Western Carolina in North Carolina, and then my youngest brother plays lacrosse at Coker College in South Carolina.
He plays now.
Yeah, he plays now. This will be his senior year, so his last year playing.
Wow, and then you've had some crazy. So some of your fights are amazing, but for a guy who's so good at wrestling, Do you just get bored? Is it ADHD? Because it seems like you get into rock'em sock'em robots with some of these guys.
Yeah.
Does your coach want to kill you?
Yeah, he gets frustrated with me for sure. But part of it is, I've only been fighting amateur and pro combined. I've been fighting for 6 years, so not a super long time. And then I got in the UFC super young, so I'm like growing up on kind of in the hardest league in the world. And I make some dumbass decisions for sure. And then hindsight, I look at him like, man, what a dumbass decision that was. Like for instance, beating Rodolfo Vieira's ass, like not even close fight, dropped him, and then I jumped guillotine against a multiple time BJJ world champ. Like I always see people like, I can't believe Cody did that. Every time I see comments like that, I'll go comment on them like, man, I can't believe I did that shit either. That was so dumb.
No, you're right. You had 6 fights before the UFC, right? Like you were way, and you're right. That's why I think you're gonna win this fight. I mean, I'm gonna put money on you. I mean, 15-1. I don't know. That's a good bet. But
right?
I think Bo Nickal. I heard his Rogan interview. You hear the Rogan interview?
Yeah, ChatGPT's got the secret. Listen, ChatGPT doesn't even know who Cody Brundage is, so he might be in trouble trying to find a game plan to fight me.
I think I said your name wrong, by the way, up top. Did I say Brundage? Brundage? I think I fucked it up, by the way. So sorry.
It's all right, bro. Yeah, that's my whole life. People say Brundage or Brundage. So
sorry.
People know who you're talking about, brother. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Sorry about that if I did that.
No, you're good.
But I think that he's like, I listened to that interview and I'm like, man, he talks about, back at these other guys, they just go punch for punch and they just, it's all about working. He's like, it seems like his whole method of bringing everyone to him and then systematically break down fighting and doing all this. I feel like, yes, all this is true and it's working for him now because he's undefeated. And obviously, if someone's undefeated, everything they're doing is right? But there's a certain element of like, you can't get past the getting the shit beaten out of you and hardcore sparring, which I'm not sure this guy really wants to do.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, all that stuff sounds good, right? Like the theory of fighting and these are my game plan. It all sounds great when you're running through people who've never been touched in a fight. But the minute you get cracked or dropped, like all that shit kind of goes out the window. You're not thinking about the formulas or the theories that you've been working on in camp, right? You have to fall back onto what did I do when this happened to me in camp? I've had a healthy dose of that for sure. And he's never had that. And it was kind of like the last kid I fought. He was kind of saying similar things. He was undefeated, similar thing, finished everyone he fought. And the first time I cracked him, I knew it was going to be different because he'd never been in that situation, right? Same with Bo Nickal. Like, there's a reason he doesn't go down to ATT to train, right? He's avoiding those hard rounds. He's avoiding really getting thrown in the fire. He's like, I've heard from people that know him and are close to that situation. He doesn't like going there because he thinks that they're going to try to hurt him. So, the fact that he's avoiding that down in Florida and he's having everyone come to him, it's working for him right now. But when you get put in the fire, it's gonna backfire a little bit. And I know nobody thinks I can put him in the fire. I promise I could put him in the fire. Like if you go watch my fights, wins, losses, draws, whatever, everyone I fought pretty much, if we're on the feet for an extended period of time, they're getting hurt for sure. Yeah. Like I rock them, hurt them, whoever. So I am a wrestler. I come from a wrestling background. But if he plays around on the feet too long, he'll get clipped for sure. And like that's part of it. When you're young and you don't have many fights, I've almost double the fights he has just in the UFC, right? Like I have like real experience now in the UFC. And when you've never been cracked in the chin and you've been running through everybody, all that stuff sounds really good, right? But when that happens, you don't really have that shit to fall back on. It's problems. And
if you're bringing in people in to not hurt you. Like that's kind of like we saw that happen with we've seen that happen before. We've seen Brock Lesnar. What happened when guys hit him? McGregor bringing in guys to build a camp around him. Obviously both champions. So maybe these are bad examples, but you see it. Like Ben Askren, his last fight, he wanted to bring everyone to him. So if people are getting paid to not hurt you, they're also probably gonna not tell you what you need to hear. And you are.
Well, it's hard to be the general, right? Like. I'm very fortunate where I'm at. I'm just a soldier. I got multiple generals above me. They tell me what to do, where to be, how to work. And then I got guys that are great training partners with me and they'll put me through the fire because they know that's what I need. It's hard to be your own general, especially when you're so new in the sport. You don't even know what you don't know. And like I said, man, April 13th, it's my job to let them figure out. But I really feel, this is 100% honest. This is how I feel. And maybe tomorrow I won't feel this way, but today I feel like it's not going to be an easy fight. The guy obviously has skills. but I feel like I'm gonna make it look really easy. And I feel like people will look back and be like, wow, man, what were we thinking making those odds, what we made them, or, believing
how many
that this
people
is
have
how
to
it's
talk
gonna
shit
go.
to you? How many people have been telling you to get your ass kicked? And
More than have been telling me I have a chance. I'll tell you that. Like way more. But that was expected, right? I knew as soon as I said yes to this fight, that's kind of how it was going to be. He has a big following from his wrestling days, and obviously he was exciting there, and he's done what he needs to do to kind of build his brand, right? Like he has a huge social media following. I'm Cody Brundage, bro. I'm Cody Brundage from the sticks, and I don't have that following. So, like you said, it's a Rocky story, right?
it really. Now, are you going to try to get in his head? Are you going to try to like talk shit? Are you going to try to?
No, that's not really me, bro. Like I have enough shit going on fight week, like to try to do a character that I'm not isn't really me. Like I feel like I'm pretty witty. I feel like if like we were in a press conference scenario and he was talking shit to me, I could definitely hold my own. I have no problem doing that, but I'm usually not the one to instigate it, right? Like it's too much for me. Like it's kind of silly sometimes when you see people do that, and like lately it's been really silly, right? When you see like how far people have taken it, especially at the end of the day.
I hate it. I hate it.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm a comedian, so I know the line, and I still go over the line, right?
But that's your job, right? Your job is to go over the line as a comedian. If I was doing a stand-up, like if I was doing a bit, it's completely different. But if I'm just like trying to promote a fight, that's my job, is to be a fighter and to promote a fight. To be a comedian, like your job, part of that is to like really find that line and just like push it a little bit further than you can. That's how
even that, like I'll be on stage,
find the
right?
humor.
The other day, this girl was like, I think she was something. I'm on stage and I'm like, oh, what do you do for I go, what do you want to be when you get older? She was like 21 or 22, and she was deaf, right? You could tell something was off with her, right? And she's like, I want to be a singer, but the way she can. So I made a joke where I spun it. I'm like, well, listen, you could do that. Right now, there's a guy out there who doesn't know where he is, and he's the president, right? So I figured out how to make, and she laughed, and everyone laughed, and blah blah blah. But now it seems like if I'm Colby Covington or some of these other guys, they'd be like, singer, you're dead. They would just shit on the person for shock value. And
it's like, what's the most nuclear thing I can say that's gonna make people be like, oh my God, I can't believe he said that. And that's tough because here's the thing, and it's kind of like you see the same thing with Connor, I think, in our space, right? Like when Connor was on his come up, he was hilarious. He was funny. The things he was saying and doing were super funny. And now it's like hard to watch, right? He's like bombing at every press conference because like most people don't enjoy that. Most people don't enjoy like, what's the most hurtful thing I could say to you? And then I'll just say it. Like that doesn't have the same comedic value.
It used to be like, okay, wives and kids are off limits. Now it's like a starting point. It's like your wife's a whore. You're this, and you're like, wait, like what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah, I think it's crazy that we haven't seen like one of these. Like these guys are all fighters at the end of the day. I'm surprised, like with all the shit people are saying, that you haven't seen one of these guys just get up and clock somebody. Because I'll tell you right now, 100%, I can guarantee you this. If Bo Nickal said your wife's a whore or talk shit about my daughters or whatever, I'm not waiting until Saturday night. I'm coming after him at that exact moment. And we're not going to be like, well, you did. I'm just going to drop my mic and we're going to fight because
I don't think Bo Nickal would do that. Bo Nickal's a respectful enough guy. He's not going to do that,
100%. And that's part of the reason why I wouldn't ever like talk shit. But at the same time, like I fought guys who are kind of shit talkers, right? It's just not in me to do it. I'm like, we're going to get in a fist fight. So everything that you say, you got to answer for everything you say. On like the biggest stage in the world and the most like dramatic consequences, short of like we're going to shoot each other. This is the most high stakes that can happen. So just say whatever you're going to say, and then just know you're going to have to answer for it, right? Like Colby had to answer for it.
Well, Colby, that was the thing. I said to Colby, I go, dude, me and Colby were friends. I go, we are friends, but I'm like, dude, when Matt Hughes got hit by a train and you made a joke about it a week later, it's like, did we really have to do that? Like no, the guy just got hit by a fucking train, and
it's tough. It's tough because I know it's a bit, right? I know it's a bit. I know he's not really like that. Everyone I've ever talked to that knows him is like, he's a good dude. I swear. Like I met his folks that night, like walking around the fighter hotel, and they're like, he's our boy. Don't judge him for what he's saying. I'm like, it's really hard. It's really hard not to judge him. Like, because if he was just like, you suck and you're terrible at fighting, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you. You're a loser, whatever, was like going after Leon, I'd be like, that's his thing, man. That's what he's gonna do. Then I'm not judging you. But when you're like dead relatives or like you said, Matt Hughes getting hit by a train, I'm like, maybe we could just avoid those. And then what was crazy was, so I was out there for that fight week because I was cornering Dustin Jacoby, one of my good buddies, and so we were there for that press conference, and then the next day they had like the kickoff press conference with Sean and Driscus, and it was like, again, why are we going to these things as our material to like build our fight, right? Like, childhood trauma, check. Like, it's crazy, bro.
I know people getting molested. It just guys, there's so many. I mean, it's like Muhammad Ali used to be like, "Oh, this guy is so ugly. You could put his face in Play-Doh and make monster cookies." I mean, there's things that are funny. We can have fun with it. We still have to remember, like, this. It's still.
I think what it is people are lazy, right? Like, because there is stuff to go and be funny but it takes work. Like, you have to put in the work to like find something that can be lighthearted and funny and also build the fight. It's way easier just be like, yeah, your dad touched you and I'm gonna touch you on Saturday. Like, it's like, okay, that whatever, bro. Like,
no, that's the thing. I help Henry out a lot of times, and like with Sudo sometimes on Twitter, and then like Gregor's like, Henry, you're a little fart, and then I'm like right back like, well, you know about farting, you're always out of gas. It's something where it's like silly, and everyone's like, oh, Henry cooked him, but
but it's funny.
Right. And then the other day, Henry and Marab were going at it, and Marab said something like, Henry, say my name right. And then I had Henry go, well, my name's easier to spell. It's Daddy. It's something where it was like,
like that's funny.
Even Marab was like, he put like a smiley emoji face, like, or crying. It's like, come on, because at the end of the day, it's just shit talking. But then when you go, you were molested, when the guy was molested, you're like, what are we doing? Like you guys, I know how hard I worked as a college wrestler, as a high school wrestler, and that's times 3 what you guys do. At the end of the day, you guys are busting your fucking ass, blood, sweat, and tears, 3 a days, cutting weight. Like, you don't need to be doing you were molested as a kid. Like, that little fan base you're trying to appeal to, you don't need them. You don't want them. It's like if
you don't want, that's the problem. Like, a lot, like I think like MMA fans get a bad rap sometimes as being like super toxic because it's the smallest portion of fans that are just the loudest. Right. And so then sometimes, like, when they're that toxic, are like, I got to appeal to them because these are all the fans. No, they're just the loudest ones in the room. Right. Like, you don't need to appeal to those people. Those are the people you're trying to avoid. Like, if you met those people in person, you wouldn't have a beer with those people. So
it's
don't
that
try
moron
to
that was like challenge Nick Diaz to a fight. He's like, I think I can kick your ass. That's the guy you're trying to entertain. That fucking moron. That guy. That fucking guy. That's your trying to slap.
I always just, by my rule of thumb is just like, if I, like, no matter what I say, right, I try to be like, 1, my kids are going to see this one day. And then 2, my mom is going to watch this. So, like, if I do this, how's this going to reflect on not only myself, but how's it going to reflect on my family? And what would my mom say? Like, so that keeps me pretty much in line. And my mom, I'm not saying my mom wants me to be a choir boy, but, she appreciates a good burn if it's funny, if it's in good taste, if it is well thought out. But if I'm like, what's the worst thing I could say about this person? She'd be like, what's the matter with you? Why are you doing that?
Let me know if you want some funny Bo Nickal jokes. I'll Bo says something. I can't wait for this fight. Everyone can't wait for this fight. Now, Chael overlooked you. I don't understand. Me and Chael,
I know a lot of people that are homies with Chael too. So I was like telling him, I was like, you got to tell your boy that they're making this fight because Bo Nickal's never had his chin checked ever.
He's one of my best friends. Chael's one of my best friends. One of the best guys I know. I love the guy to death. Anytime I need advice on something, Chael's one of my like 3 guys I go to.
Hell yeah.
But I think he's overlooking because he's overlooking you. I mean,
it's easy to do, right? Like, I'm not holding that against anybody. Now, listen, when I go do what I think I'm going to do, I want all the apologies from everybody. But right now, it'll be good, bro. I'll just remember it. I'll just put it in my notes.
Now, David Goggins says that he reads all the hate while he works out, which I think is fucking insane. But is that something you do?
If I had to read all the hate, bro, I don't know if I couldn't have taken this interview. I'd still be reading the hate, bro.
Right.
No, I try my best to ignore it. And then, like, sometimes I'll rarely, but I'll comment back, right? Like, somebody commented, I think the other day, and they were like, Cody Brundage is the worst fighter in the UFC. Like, they were just going hard, and I just commented back like something stupid. I was like, you look like something I draw with my left hand. or something like that, right? Like I just try to give him, and like one guy's like, you better pull out, you're a dead man walking. And so I was like, well, if I was a guy who pulled out, you wouldn't be here, my boy.
That's great. Yeah,
Right.
of course. Yeah, I don't.
So
you know
every
what?
now and again, I try to give it
Sometimes
back.
I'll do it. Sometimes I'll
it.
be like, "You look like you're not allowed near schools or something," and
Yeah, that's a good one.
But then somebody will hit me up and be like, "Hey, man, I'm gonna sue you," or something. Like people are like, "Okay, leave me alone."
Yeah.
Now having a wife that was in the UFC, is that easier or harder?
I think when it comes to like training and like having time away from the family and things like that, it might be a little bit easier because she kind of understands it. But sometimes I'm like, when I'm going through some shit, like she gets it and she's like, quit being a little bitch. I had to do all that shit too. So there's some things that are harder, and she doesn't do that all the time, but sometimes she'll be like, listen, I've done it. I know what it is. I know the pressure you're under. Get over it. Right. And that's good. I need that, but that makes it hard sometimes. But you know, as far as like being able to tell her, hey, I got to go train, I got to go work out, I got to go do whatever, she's pretty, you know, understanding, and she's done it all. So I'm super fortunate there. And then like, she's a sick mom, so that makes it easy for me too, right? Like she does a great job with our kids. I'm never like at training, like, man, I hope my kids are okay. Like I know it's all good. So it makes it easy for me.
That makes life a lot easier. Now, I also read that you ran a fight club. Is this true?
I don't know. What's the first rule, my boy?
Oh yeah, you can't talk about it. Right.
No, yeah, I did. I'll break it. I did. I ran a fight club at my college. I used to have them come in like to the wrestling room. We had like 16-ounce Dick's Sporting Good boxing gloves and $1 boil bite mouthpieces, and it was legit, man. I would like stir up fake beef between guys. I'd be like, this guy said you're a bitch. He'd be sitting on the left side of me, and then I'd be like, this guy said you're a bitch. And then on the right side, I'd be like, hey, he said you're a bitch. And then I'd get him to argue, and then we had walkout music.
Oh no
I was
way.
the judge. I was way more corrupt than any judges ever in Vegas. It was whoever I wanted. Most of the fights, I'll be honest, ended in draws because I said we have to do the rematch next week. It's a draw.
and then people came from the college, like everyone came.
Oh yeah, people would come watch. Yeah, it was good until it wasn't and got shut down, but it was good for a little bit.
And
we would make that. I used to host recruits, and we would make the recruits box each other. It was good.
Oh
man.
my god! you guys suspended for this, or no one?
No, I think it's suspended. It was a small liberal arts college, and we just kept it on down low. 80% of the kids that went there were athletes. Wow. It was good, man. My coach was like, hey, stop doing that. I was like, noted.
That's great. That's great. Well, listen, man, I can't wait for this fight. I'm putting money on you. I think you're going to win. I know you're going to win. I know you're going to win. You trained in Colorado for this?
Yeah, Factory X.
Factory X. Oh, you got great coaches, great people. Kick ass, man.
Lost you for a second. What'd you say? Sorry, I lost you.
Kick ass. 2024 here, man. Kick ass.
I appreciate you, brother. Thanks for having me.
Anytime. Take care, brother.
Later.